Brett McMurphy with On3 drops an absolute bombshell about realignment right here on the cusp of college football starting. What's going on? Why are we still talking realignment? Well, we are, unfortunately. And I'm going to give you my thoughts on what Brett McMurphy had to say that could impact the Big 12. So we're going to talk about it, so stick around and we'll do it right now. What is up, and welcome into this episode of Couz's Corner, your home for top shelf college sports news and analysis around the West Virginia Mountaineers and the Big 12. Yes, football season is right here. There are actually games tonight. I'm recording this on Thursday, August 28th. We have games tonight. But as someone who built this channel talking partially about realignment, I feel like I owe it to you to cover this story. Brett McMurphy dropped a bombshell on the Andy Ari show over at On3's YouTube channel talking about conference realignment. Now, this whole story really started with new Maryland AD Jim Smith dropping a bombshell of his own in a recent interview where he said basically, when answering a question, that he thought the Big Ten would be at 20 teams by the year 2030. Now, they're at 18 right now, so he's saying, hey, we're going to add 2 teams. Now, he didn't say what 2 teams those were, and he likely wouldn't have even if asked, but he did say they'd be at 20 teams, and according to Greg Pflugar, which is why we're over at College Football's Peak Around the Corner, which is where I received this information, he didn't even hesitate when answering the question. So he must know something, or at least that's kind of the indication. Maybe he was giving his opinion, but either way, Jim Smith is well connected. He was part of the Atlanta Braves organization. He's worked with the Atlanta Falcons. He's overseen an Ohio State alumni group in Atlanta. He's well connected, especially in the city of Atlanta and in that area. So I'm sure he knows people. I'm sure he's talked to people. I'm sure he networks a lot. And we all know relationships matter, especially in realignment. But he's saying 20. Well, question is, who were the 2 teams they add? Well, Brett McMurphy has reiterated something that Greg has talked about and many others have talked about, that North Carolina and Virginia are both highly coveted by both the Big Ten and the SEC. There could even be a bidding war for those 2 schools. And I know it sounds crazy because neither school is great in football. UVA is not even good in football historically, at least not in recent memory. But there are other things those 2 schools bring to the table that those conferences and the teams in those conferences want to be affiliated with, and potentially even their network partners want to be affiliated with. Because like Brett McMurphy talked about in this interview, it's about more than just winning football games. There's a lot more to it. You've got academics. Whether we like it or not, college presidents care about that stuff. Maybe they shouldn't, but they do. And that's going to help them. That's going to factor into their decision-making. So that matters. The market you're in matters. The state you're in matters. All of that matters. And obviously winning matters as well. And how much TV viewership you're going to bring to the table. How big is your brand? All of that matters. So who grabs UVA and UNC? Greg Pflugar seems to think it'll be the SEC that they have the lead in that. If that happens, who does the Big Ten take? Well, according to Brett McMurphy, he thinks it'll be someone that is an AAU institution. For those of you who don't know what that means, it's American Association of Universities, or Association of American Universities. It's basically the most prestigious research institutions in the country. I would argue that some of the schools in it aren't really prestigious research institutions, but that's another conversation for another day. But it's a prestigious club of universities that everybody or at least most schools strive to be in from a research perspective. And the Big Ten likes you to be AAU. It's not a requirement, but they like it. It's a preference. And according to Brett McMurphy, he thinks the teams they take will be in that group. And he talks about that. And I'm going to go ahead and play a clip from the interview, and then I'll give you my comments.
Yeah, so here, real quick, here's the 8 ACC schools that are currently AAU members. Cal and Stanford, Duke, Virginia, North Carolina, Georgia Tech, Miami, and Pitt. Okay, so I feel like those guys, some more than other, have a really good shot. From the Big 12, this gets kind of fascinating because I reached out to somebody that I trust a great deal, and they actually brought up a school in the Big 12. And to me, again,
can I guess? Can I guess?
Yeah.
Is it Kansas?
It was actually Utah.
Oh, that's a good one.
So here's the 5 AAU teams from the Big 12: Arizona, Arizona State, Colorado, Kansas, and Utah. And when I mentioned Utah, again, I'm thinking Utah. What about geography? Obviously, geography doesn't matter. They go from coast to coast. And the response was, it's an untapped market. Salt Lake City, team on the uptick. Again, 5 years from now,
they're not really on the uptick. They've been good for 20 years.
True,
over 20 years.
Yeah, obviously, right. Kyle Whittingham will no longer be there in 5 years. At least we think he won't. Who knows? He may surprise us. But again, who knows what they're going to look like in 5 years? Who knows what Colorado will look like? Is Dion still there? Is he gone? Again, it's not going to impact a school based on who the coach is, whether they get in or not. But right there is 13 schools that are AAU members that I think all will have a legitimate shot. Some more than others. But yeah, I would say I think I think they want to get into Florida. People at Florida State believe in the coming years they will join that AAU group. That could be big.
All right, so don't rule out Florida State here. Even though Florida State's not AAU, they think they're going to get in it. And it could be big. So Florida State, they're trying to get in. Miami's already AAU, as you heard him say. So all these schools in the ACC are jockeying to try to get in the Big Ten or the SEC, and I'm sure the Big 12 schools are doing the same. I did a video a few days ago about West Virginia's chances of getting in the SEC. Now, and I'll link to that video here at the end or down in the description or in the comment section. And I'm actually planning a separate video on some of the things that I think Western University is doing to secure their future as a power school. I was going to include that in this video, but I honestly think it deserves its own video, so I'm going to make it its own video. But for the sake of this one, we're focusing on how this affects the Big 12, and that's a bombshell right there. Utah could go to the Big 10, or at least they're talking to the Big 10. That's what Brett's hearing from his sources. Now, that surprised me a little bit because, yes, I know they're AAU, and to what extent they're talking to the Big 10, we don't know. But for Brett McMurphy to say this on a show and for him to make the statement that it came from somebody he really trusts, I think there could be something to this now. I'm not just going to brush this under the rug like it's not a big deal. I think this is probably more than just kicking the tires. Maybe I'm wrong, but maybe he thinks that his source thinks that Utah has a really legit chance. Now, Salt Lake City, yes, it's a big market, but it's nowhere near as big as Atlanta, Georgia, or Miami, Florida. I would think those schools would have an upper hand, but you never know. What exactly is it they're looking for? I don't know all the behind-the-scenes stuff that these presidents are looking at. I would think from a TV network perspective, they'd rather be in Miami or they'd rather be in, but who knows? It does give you schools in the mountain time zone that you don't have. Maybe that means something. But nonetheless, this was kind of shocking because I didn't think Utah would be at the top of their list among Big 12 schools. I figured it would be, Kansas. Now, they did talk about Kansas a little more in the episode, in the interview, but Brett seems to think that Kansas has a little bit longer shot to get in even than Utah does. So, we'll see. But I thought that was surprising. What would that mean for the Big 12? Well, a couple things. Number one, it might explain why the Big 12 is, we all thought they were going to get this private equity deal or private capital deal. That got scrapped. Maybe this is why. Maybe the Big 12 schools are not all on the same page on some of this stuff. And maybe it's because schools like Utah, for example, are like trying to figure out a way out to go to the Big 10. Maybe they're closer to getting in the Big 10 than we think. And they know that. So therefore they're putting the brakes on any future discussions about the Big 12's future. And they're just kind of holding on and maintaining status quo for now until they can get into Power 2. And there could be a lot of other Big 12s. Arizona State is the largest public institution in the country as far as enrollment goes. And they're in the Phoenix. They can bring you the Phoenix market. Maybe they're attractive to the Big 10. They're an AAU school. I mean, they're on the up and up in football. They come up in football. So maybe they're high on the list. Who knows? But this, to me, was bad news for the Big 12 because it could potentially hurt the future of the league, because you don't want to lose these schools, especially the ones you just brought in. And when you look at schools like a West Virginia or an Iowa State or a Kansas State, Oklahoma State, or some of these others that likely have no shot at getting in the Big 10, and many have no shot at getting into SEC either. It's concerning because if the SEC and Big Ten decide to go in and pluck away some of the better brands, or better brands in their mind anyway, from the ACC and the Big 12 and go to 24 or something, it's possible the Big 12 does indeed fall apart, or at least not look the same in the future. As much as we don't want to talk about that or admit that as fans of Big 12 teams, I think it's possible. And I think Brett McMurphy just laid it out to us right there, based on what he's hearing from his sources. And he even said he was surprised that Jim Smith, the AD at Maryland, said 20. He said, I'm surprised he didn't say 24. So Brett seems to think they could go past 20 to 24 in both the SEC and the Big Ten. Now, man, so who knows where this is going to go? I think that's possible. My gut is that networks prefer to stay at 20 teams in these leagues, because when you get above 20, it just becomes a bear to try to schedule games and all that, and it becomes harder to manage. I've actually had a source tell me that's what he's heard from his person from the TV side of it. I've listened to the guys at the College Football Mafia show. They've alluded to it from conversations they've had with Bob Thompson, the former Fox president. So there are a lot of things that make me think that these conferences could decide to just, not go past 20 teams, but there's also the thought out there that, hey, they could go all the way to 24. And if I'm a school like West Virginia, that's what, and you want to be in one of those two conferences, that's what you've got to hope for. But if you want the Big 12 to survive as a power league and stay together and stay strong and keep their seat at the big boy table, then you better hope the SEC and Big 10 decide to stay around 16, 18, or at least not go past 20. Because if that happens, I don't see the ACC and Big 12 surviving as power conferences anymore. Just my opinion. But I want to hear what you think about it. Let me know in the comments. Do you think Utah actually has a legit chance at the Big 10? Do you think Brett McMurphy's source is full of it? What do you think? Let me know. What do you think happens to your favorite team? Let me know in the comments section. I want to take this opportunity to give a shout out to my VIP paid channel members of this episode. They are Kenny Evans, Al Walker, WV Wildman 82, Hellbilly, Appalachia Africa Twin, and Big Dan T. Thank you all for your paid membership. If you want to be a paid member, there's a join button either below or over at my channel homepage. Go check it out. Want to ask you to, if you see a hype button down below the video between the download button and the super thanks button is a button called hype. If you hit that button, you can hype this video. It will show YouTube that you like what I do. It gives me hype points, and it will get my video, hopefully, pumped out to more people. It's a new feature that YouTube is rolling out to help both small and large creators get noticed. So please hype up Couz's Corner every chance you get. Every Couz's Corner video you watch, if you get a chance to hype it up, hype it up. You can even go to the comment box, scroll left. I think there's a hype button there as well if that's easier for you to do. But please hype up Couz's Corner. Help me grow. Help me get seen by more people. And let's grow this sucker. I want to get to 10,000 subscribers by the end of college football season. But I need your help to do it. Comments help. The thumbs up button helps. All of that helps. There are ways in my description box you can help me out financially with making Fanatics purchases, Victory Tailgate to go get your cornhole boards and stuff for your tailgate parties, ONIT Athlete trading cards to help me and help your favorite student athletes, Cash App, Venmo, PayPal. It's all there in the description. Go check it out. Thank you for watching the show. Hope the rest of your day's top shelf, and Q Country Roads.